Warm it all up! Everything you got! Come on, you ape! You want to live forever?
I'm going to be honest with you all, so far 2024 has been a pretty mid-year for the gaming industry as a whole. I know it's only been 3 months, but if you look at last year's output, it pretty much blows this year out of the water. I mean, what big AAA games have we had this year? There was Ubisoft's Quad A Skull and Bones, a pirate game that is somehow worse than the 2014 game it was inspired by. There's Suicide Squad, which is already going on sale with a dwindling player count. That's kind of sad. Of course, there is still a lot of great games that have released and are to be released this year. But what I'm trying to get at here is the deteriorating quality of these so-called AAA games. I've noticed this trend recently where these games with massive scope and budgets release in completely broken, unfinished, and generally mediocre state. Lately, I've been completely disillusioned from the gaming industry as a whole because of it, but there is still a ton of great indie and AA games with tighter budgets, smaller scope, and much more focused and refined gameplay. Games that are just fun to play, which should be the objective of every game. It seems a lot of AAA companies forgot that. Today I want to talk and pretty much rave about a little game that blew up when it came out last month. Now, I'll be honest, when Helldivers 2 first released, there was nothing in the marketing or what my friends told me that really interested me enough to give it a try. It was made by a relatively smaller dev, but it was published by Sony, had microtransactions, and always online features. The first couple weeks were pretty rocky too, with a host of server issues preventing people from playing the game, and to me, those were just all the hallmarks of a game that I might want to avoid. But literally all my friends are playing it right now. It's just completely blown up, so I bit the bullet and I decided to buy it. The first thing I want to mention is the price of the game. 40 doubloons. In an industry with ever-increasing game prices, it was honestly a relief to see a game priced so modestly. And man, was it worth every single penny. I haven't had this much fun playing I haven't had this much fun playing a co-op game in years. This game brings me back to games like Left 4 Dead or Firefight and Halo, just an absolute blast to play together with friends or even randos. I totally regret sleeping on this game when it came out, despite the server issues. Now, usually I shudder at the words live service because it corresponds with unfinished, broken messes that have a predatory monetization system attached to it. One of the most egregious examples being Modern Warfare 3, releasing with the most lazy campaign I've ever seen for a COD game. And that's saying something. But Helldivers 2 has brought a much needed breath of fresh air to these live service games. The fact that it's maintained a consistently high player base for a month is all the proof you really need to see that this is a game that's here to stay and that's keeping players engaged. And today I want to talk about why that is. So how did Helldivers 2 strive when so many other AAA live service games seem to flop as soon as they're released? Well, for one, it's a ridiculously fun co-op third-person shooter with some mechanics that blew my mind. The whole premise and theme of the game is clearly heavily inspired by movies like Starship Troopers. Helldivers 2 takes place in the distant future where humanity has advanced their technology to a point where they can travel and colonize the entire galaxy using faster than light travel. At this point, all of Earth's governments have joined together to form Super Earth, a super free, super democratic federation that kind of resembles the highly authoritarian governments from books like 1984. And with that being said, please don't report this video to the Ministry of Truth. Anyway, by the time Helldivers 2 takes place, the Federation has spread democracy all across the entire galaxy through forceful conquest and destruction of their enemies, for freedom, of course. After enjoying a period of relative peace, the galaxy was struck again by the enemies of the Federation. There's the species of giant fascist bugs known as the Terminids, and the Automatons, a faction of communist robots. And all we need to know as Helldivers is that these bots and bugs hate freedom and are therefore an enemy of Super Earth and democracy as a whole. I honestly love the premise of this game. It's a perfect blend of goofy and intriguing political commentary. It clearly takes a lot of inspiration from the world and government propaganda we see in the movie Starship Troopers.
Goddamn bugs whacked his job.
It's on Netflix, and if you get the chance, I implore you to watch it. The way they parody military and government propaganda is hilarious, but when you really think about it, it's kind of scary.
The only good bug is a dead bug.
So that's cool, a game with an amazing premise to back it up. That sounds awesome, but does the gameplay back it up as well? Hell yeah, it does. This might be one of the most engaging third-person shooters I've ever played. On the surface, it seems like a pretty basic gameplay loop. You select a planet you want to support on either front of the war, and start an operation, which are a set of missions that you complete to contribute to the overall liberation of that planet. It's probably a good time to mention that Helldivers is a live war, where players are essentially working together against the devs to liberate planets and complete global orders. So every operation feels that much more meaningful, because you're helping the cause. Mission types vary, from launching ICBMs or destroying enemy outposts to the dreaded civilian escort missions, which are easily my least favorite. Starting a mission will drop you and your squad down through the atmosphere and right onto the ground. From there, you have a pretty decent chunk of open area to explore. You could beeline it straight to the mission objectives, or you could explore, complete side objectives, or destroy enemy outposts. And what I really love about the game is how rewarding it is to actually deviate and explore this alien planet. Destroying enemy outposts can reduce the overall amount of enemies that appear in the mission, making it much easier to complete. You can even completely stop the spawn of some annoying enemy types by destroying their lair. And that's not even mentioning the obvious XP and requisition bonuses that you get. After you complete the main objectives, extraction becomes available. You make your way to the extraction point and defend it while you wait for the Pelican to touch down. What's cool as well is that if you all die without any respawns left, the mission will still complete because you completed the main objective, you just didn't extract. You do want to stay alive though, because dying means you'll drop and lose any samples that you collected. Samples can be found throughout the map, come in 3 different rarities, and are used to upgrade your ship, which can make your stratagems stronger or cool down faster. There are 9 difficulty levels total, and you start at 1, unlocking the next level as you complete operations. At easier difficulties, honestly, the game is pretty mellow, but as you go up, the enemy counts quickly increase. The gunplay and strategy comes more into play. Guns control super interestingly in this game. In third-person mode, the circle represents where your gun is actually aiming. Depending on the gun, it sways and recoils up while you take aim or shoot. At first, it kind of felt weirdly sluggish, especially with the heavier weapons, but after getting used to it, I kind of love it. Each gun feels and handles differently, and the way they sway and lag behind movements feels way more realistic than it really should. And then there's the way enemies will satisfyingly blow apart as you shoot it. It just feels amazing. Using explosives will blow apart armored enemies, exposing their weak spots. Enemies will react to the damage you inflict to them. Their legs and arms can just be blown off. One of the tankier enemies, the Charger, will look completely messed up when its HP gets low enough. It'll limp, bleed from its mouth, grunt painfully, have bits of armor missing, and with enough damage, eventually its tail will burst and it'll bleed out, sealing its fate. I kind of feel bad for it, is what a bug-loving traitor would say, of course. But all of these cues serve to show the player the damage that they're actually inflicting, which is a lot better than a health bar in my opinion. So gunplay is amazing, but stratagems are really what sets this game apart. You can equip 4 stratagems before dropping into a mission, and each one is activated by entering a combination on your D-pad, like it's some kind of cheat code. The variety of stratagems available is pretty incredible too. There are orbital strikes and barrages, fighter jet strikes, a 500 kilo bomb that completely obliterates anything nearby. There are support weapons you can call down, like a machine gun, a flamethrower, the railgun, and my personal favorite, the autocannon. That thing can pretty much take down anything if you place your shots right. But if defense is more your style, you can place down turrets, mortars, and shields to help support you and your squad. Friendly fire is on, however, so you need to be careful where you place those airstrikes and bombs. It is pretty much inevitable that you'll end up killing a teammate, and it's also inevitable that it'll be pretty hilarious. It's a good thing there's a very generous respawn budget, so dying isn't a huge deal, as long as you can go back and pick up your samples, of course. You unlock more stratagems by leveling up and purchasing them using requisition points you get from completing missions. To me, grinding the game and unlocking more stratagems to try out was just a really fun and rewarding gameplay loop, and it was pretty addicting, honestly. The progression in this game feels really rewarding, and there are new stratagems and weapons being added pretty frequently. There are also war bonds, which are pretty much this game's battle pass system. Each war bond has multiple pages of armor, weapons, grenades, and more to unlock using the medals that you get from successful operations. There is a free war bond available to everyone, and right now there are 2 premium war bonds that you can buy using super credits. Super credits are pretty much this game's premium currency, and I have seen some contention online about this game being pay to win and stuff like that, which to me doesn't really make sense. This is a PvE game, so premium weapons won't really ruin anyone else's experience, like the star cards from Battlefront 2 did, for example. example. And there's also really nothing that's super overpowered in these battle passes. Every weapon, armor, and piece of equipment is pretty well balanced. Not only that, but you can come across small amounts of super credits throughout the map in missions, just simply by exploring the map. Being able to find premium currency, albeit in small amounts, is actually pretty incredible, and it's not something that you'd see in most other monetization systems. So theoretically, through just playing the game, you could eventually earn all of those premium weapons and armor anyway, for $0. And those are just a few reasons Helldivers 2 is a cut above most live service games. But of course, it's not without its issues. For weeks after releasing, the server capacity couldn't handle the influx of new players, meaning a lot of people couldn't get into the game. That or they'd just have to wait hours to queue in. Though the devs didn't really anticipate how big this game would be, so it's kind of understandable. But the game's technical performance is definitely a mixed bag. The graphics and art style are beautiful, but the overall performance and stability of the game is, well, kind of shit, to be honest. While the devs do a great job at updating the game frequently to add more content or fixes, a lot of the times, updates have regressed performance and stability, causing more crashes on PC and even PS5 from my experience. All in all though, I think this game is a shining example of how to execute a live service game properly. It really does feel like a constant war with players working together to liberate these bug and bot infested planets. Well, the devs send out counter invasions and major orders that progress the storyline of this ongoing war. And because of that, it works really great as a live service. But even more importantly, this game strives to be fun, and it really is. I haven't had as much fun as I do playing this game since I was a kid playing Left 4 Dead and COD Zombies with my friends. If they can keep supporting this game, iron out these bugs, and focus a bit on performance, I think this game will be around for a long time. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Let me know what you think about Helldivers 2. Have you played it? Did you like it? Or are you on Xbox eagerly awaiting your turn to jump in? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, see ya. Bye. Goodbye. You can leave now.